Hi, I'm Out of Darts, a YouTuber and Nerf modder, and today I wanted to talk about the Nerf Rival Hera. This is the latest release in the Rival line, and since it is a Rival blaster and I love Rival, I thought I would take the time to actually talk about it. This is a 12-shot blaster. It's got a regular magazine like the other blasters, such as the Zeus. Unlike the Zeus, but like the Apollo, it loads through the grip. Now, this is really the blaster that I think a lot of us wanted to see from the beginning, because the biggest problem with the Zeus, the whole reason that I made the Hurricane in the first place, was that the loading was terrible. You would load through the side and you would constantly push them out the wrong side or push them in too far or not far enough, and it was just clumsy. This blaster, however, is completely different because not only is it grip fed just like the Apollo, but I actually find the magazine release much faster and much easier to get in and out of the blaster. It's a 12-shot blaster. It has a very large front profile, and that's because the flywheels are horizontal. Now, it's a very interesting blaster because you think when you look at this from pictures and videos, it seems really small, but to me, this is actually kind of massive. It's got a lot of weight, a lot of heft, partially due to 6C batteries here. Now, I do have this in completely stock form just for this quick little review and first look, but I will obviously be modding this as soon as possible. On 6C batteries, it's got sort of mediocre performance, but much like the rest of the Rival line. The biggest things that I'm impressed with are the trigger. The rev trigger, has a really nice click to it, much like when you put a higher amperage switch in, and that's good because more than likely I'm going to leave this stock micro switch here in my modding, because from other videos such as Nerf gun attachments and DRAC, I've seen that there is not much room here to replace the switch. So my approach is going to be a MOSFET, leaving this stock trigger intact, but using a 200 amp MOSFET that can control full current from the battery to the flywheels. Quick little firing here. One would need to load rounds to fire. So loading these rounds is very simple, just normal magazines. Almost wish I didn't get rid of all those magazines that I had. I think a few customers from my store bought a whole mess of magazines that we had left over from Hurricane building. So after you've got this loaded up, it holds 12, but will of course work with the 7 rounds. Well, now it holds 10. One thing I'm really liking about this blaster is that not only is the rev switch great, it's nice and clicky, but the trigger switch has a nice snap to it, and it's actually really great for semi-auto. And I feel like I get nice tight groupings with this, at least playing around in my house. So I've been really impressed so far with how it's shooting and how it's performing, even on stock batteries. I know the first thing a lot of people are going to do, and I'm certainly going to try myself, is to hack this back off and make a pistol. But I got a little less excited about making this a pistol once I got it in my hand. First, because this grip is just massive. It is way bigger than the Apollo. Likely because they had to fit the switch in here. Additionally, you can see from the side profile that it's really not going to be a great blaster to holster, because I just can't imagine having a 5-inch, I mean, if you compare this to my fist, it's just a huge width, so I can't see this holstering very well. Now, as a sidearm that just hangs off of a tack sling or something like that, I can definitely see that working. Overall, I'm thrilled with this blaster. I think that they did a really nice job designing it. I think people are going to have a lot of fun integrating it and cutting the back off, because essentially everything from this point back is nothing. I'm really impressed with how this trigger pull works. It's really quite neat. It's got a little spinner that spins and resets each time you pull the trigger, and a little gear that goes back and forth to actually actuate that. Now, the cool thing about that is it's going to be really easy to make full auto, at least as long as you're comfortable with a little gear motor replacement. So I think that'll be one of the first mods I do. Someone else may very well beat me to it, but I'll give it a shot anyway. And that will be a very similar feed mechanism that I've used in the Hurricane and in Silfrina and in the Here Mini, which is my pistol that I'm still working on, and there's a lot more to come on that in the future. Some of my complaints about the blaster: there is a ledge right here, and with my size hands, this little lip really digs into the edge of my thumb, and it's not too big of a deal. I think when you have it shouldered, you're less likely to have this actually touching, but if you want to drop it down and shoot from the waist, it's definitely noticeable, and I just wish that that had been made flat, and I'm not entirely sure why it's not. Maybe it's a thing for rigidity and strength to integrate the handle. The blaster comes apart in really nice pieces. I will do a full mod guide, provided that people are actually interested in one, specifically how to wire it up with a MOSFET, because I think that's going to be the best solution for this blaster, given that you really can't fit a switch in here easily without totally, you know, destroying how this switch sits. And Nerf Gun Detachments did do a really nice mod and showed how to get a switch in there, but it ends up with this having to stick out beyond its stock point. So I do think that a MOSFET will probably be the easiest solution. I think this is going to be a crazy popular blaster at 60 bucks with easy mag feeding, relatively easy to mod, lots of room inside for a battery or chop it off. I think it's going to be a really versatile, really fun blaster, and I think we're going to see a lot of these out there. I honestly think it will replace the Zeus completely as a primary blaster, because unless this is a Hurricane, I honestly don't see why you would play with this over this, other than some comfort issues, because I do think that this configuration and handle is a little bit more comfortable. It's also a lot lighter. This is not a light blaster, at least not with its batteries in here. There's a considerable amount of plastic, and of course, batteries are just heavy. And the weight is substantially back. I think the fulcrum here is probably somewhere in there. So it's quite back heavy, meaning that it constantly feels like you kind of have to keep it level. So it's definitely a blaster meant to be shouldered. With the blaster, you get the 12 rounds, and you get these cool little flags for if you want to do Team Red, Team Blue. Nowhere that I play actually plays like this. We always have our own color teams for our own games. Additionally, I do think that the hop-up that's in the front of here, to me, seems like it's a stiffer rubber and a little bit of a stronger rubber. Now, this is a slight change, obviously, from the Zeus, which I think has a little bit of a softer flap. Now, these break over time, the hop-ups, after thousands of rounds that I shoot through them in the Hurricanes. We actually glue them in place in the mods that we do so that they last longer. So I have a feeling this is a durability thing, which is a great move if that's the reason. I'll have more on this, including what I actually do with it mod-wise, and hopefully a full tutorial as well to come. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out of darts.